And roll call.
Okay. Mr. Ramos?
Here.
Mr. Lindemann?
Here.
Mr. Sabal?
Here.
Dr. Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Bahrain?
Here. Under 1D, Superintendent's Report, Ms. Samaniego.
Yes. Good morning, Mr. President and board members. I hope everyone is doing well. Just a few things that obviously you already have been informed about, but as you know, I had to make the decision to send all of our employees home to work from home for a 14-day period due to a rise in cases, in COVID cases within DUSD. And obviously always taking guidance from our Cochise County Health Department and discussing this with our governing board president, Mr. Bahrain, before making a decision. So where we were at to begin with was that the county health department was making a recommendation that we shut down our food service department due to several cases being reported out of either Joe Carlson or Douglas High School staff. And because of the complexity of having to contact trace within the food service department, because food service employees are preparing meals and are around each other without possibly being able to social distance themselves, was a little bit more difficult to do the contact tracing. And so Mrs. Cox and her team were dealing with those cases since last week. But last week, the guidance from County Health was that we could remain open since we had one, potentially two cases. But moving forward this week, we had more cases over the weekend, and so their recommendation was to shut down food service. So what that does for DUSD is that by shutting our food service, then that means we automatically have to send all students that attend the learning spaces at every school site home because of the inability to feed them breakfast and lunch. So that would have sent and closed down all the learning spaces for 14-day period. In addition to that, district office was the other building that had multiple cases all within a 14-day period. And Cochise County Health Department said it was best to send all of the employees at district building home for a 14-day period because of multiple isolated cases happening within the building of DUSD. And what we mean by isolated cases is that one case is not related to the other one. So it's not like two employees were contracted COVID because they were around each other, but it was just totally isolated incidents. And so we were going to have to shut down, or at least not shut down, but close district office building and send everybody home for a 14-day period. In addition to that came Joe Carlson Elementary, who we've been dealing with since last week, of multiple cases being reported. And once the difficult part of COVID is once you become in contact with somebody that's positive or that even has symptoms at this point, the recommendation is that the other employees must quarantine for a 14-day period, at least until they have either they get symptoms or they have a positive or a negative test. So that was going to be Joe Carlson and possibly having to shut down and send everybody from Joe Carlson home. So we had already taken measures over the weekend with Joe Carlson. We had decided to send all the functional special ed students that were attending school. We were going to close down that classroom because the cases were coming from that department. And so we had made that decision over the weekend, but as more cases developed from Sunday to Monday at Joe Carlson, that was going to force us also to close down that school and send everybody home. And so then we had another school, Huber Middle School, who also had one person start the COVID case situation there, and that leads to other multiple people having to be sent home and quarantine. And then over the course of the weekend, a few more reports came in of people pending results or even positive results. So as it is, Huber Middle School was already understaffed with support staff because of the many staff that were out sick or on a forced quarantine pending results. And so Huber Middle School had literally no office staff and about 18, 20 people out, making it difficult to run operations there. And then the next school was going to be Douglas High School, which was also coming down with a series of positive cases among staff, also isolated incidents. And so it was just a matter of a couple days before we were going to have to send everybody home at Douglas High School. And after speaking to my team, which is Mrs. Cox and her HR staff, and looking at all the magnitude of this situation, we felt that at least for the next 14 days, it was safer to send everybody home. And that was just within employees. We also had a situation, as you're aware of, with our football team. And we had a first case within the football team, and we shut down football immediately as soon as we became aware of that positive case, and that was a student case. And so as a result of that, about a week and some days later, it resulted into 5 students and 2 or 3 possible coaches. 2 for sure. I haven't heard on the third one. And so luckily we shut down that sport immediately with that one case. And so that was a sport in itself, just with football. And once we got the results of those other students being in football positive, and taking guidance from Coach's County Health, and then looking at the spike in numbers here, I had to make a decision to also shut down sports. That includes the winter sports, which had already began practicing, at least until further notice. And even if we're able to resume any activity in winter sports is now the question. So everybody is, it's fine. It is unfortunate that some of our own DUSD employees, which, you know, we all consider family, have lost loved ones. And so my condolences go out to some of our employees who have already lost loved ones due to this pandemic. And we hope that everybody in this next 14-day quarantine takes this seriously. And as I have said in various communications, it is the expectation that every staff must wear a mask. It is not optional when you are at work. When possible, you must social distance and proper hygiene, washing hands, and all of that, so that we can reduce the spread. And so hopefully in these next 14 days, all employees take this seriously. Everybody's working from home, reporting with their immediate supervisors. And of course, everybody is on call and may have to report for one thing or the other by the request of the supervisor. Our maintenance department will be doing everyday checks, morning and afternoon, to check on our buildings and our heaters and our water pipes and all of that. And then they will report to work along with all of our custodial staff one day before everybody gets back. And so our 14-day return to work would be Tuesday, December the 1st. And the schools would reopen so that all employees can get back to work. Now, obviously, HR will be in close contact with those employees that report a positive case. And as always, those unique and individual cases will take guidance from our HR team as to when they can return to work. This is happening everywhere. New York just shut down their school system, and you know, we are lucky that, you know, we remained online, and we haven't had to deal with the many student cases. And so with that being said, obviously I am still meeting with Mr. Walker and Mr. Ortega and getting guidance from them on the rest of winter season sports. And we will be meeting this week to look at that and take some look at what AIA has provided as well. As it is as of last week, when I had to make the decision of winter sports, was that AIA was saying, based on the metrics, that probably the only safest thing at that point was the phase 1, phase 2 practices with some restrictions, but not really looking at a possibility of competition. So that was of last week. AIA is supposed to have, I believe, a meeting coming soon, and we'll be making more decisions. So that is a report of what's going on right now. I do want to say that DUSD is fully operating. Everybody is working. So we are not shut down. And all of our students, including those that were attending the learning space, are doing their virtual online learning from home.
Members of the board, to proceed cautiously, any comments or questions you have regarding her report, and we'll limit it just to very brief comments or questions to her regarding the specifics of her report. So any member of the board want to make any comments or question her briefly regarding that report?
Yes, Mr. Lindeman. Mr. President,
Go
Mr.
ahead.
Lindeman.
Go ahead, Mike.
I just had a quick couple of questions. I wanted to know, do we have an actual account of the cases that have been reported, the positive cases in our district?
Yes, we do. And I will have Mrs. Cox answer that. Mrs. Cox, do you have at home your current data?
Yes, I'm counting, yes. Good morning.
Morning, Ms. Cox.
Go ahead, Denise.
16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. As of right now, we have 28 cases.
Okay.
Those are positive. And we have about 20 pending.
Okay, thank you.
28 positive cases, 28 teachers?
It's different staff members.
Okay.
So these could be teachers, support staff, anybody, Dr.
All right. Okay.
Not students, just staff, right?
Okay, this is
Yes,
Lindeman.
that's just staff, not students.
I had one other comment I wanted to raise, if I may.
Go ahead, Mr. Lynn. Go ahead, Mr. Lynn.
This is Samaniego. I did read where AIA has recommended that winter sports be postponed until January. I don't know if you had seen that. I had read that.
Mr. Ortega just sent me something shortly before the meeting regarding AIA. And let me pull that up, see what it says here.
I think they met this morning. I think they met this morning, EIA.
Okay, yes. It says, this is what it says. Recommends to the executive board last week to postpone winter sports contest to January. This does not at this time include practices, as schools are still allowed to practice at this time. It says Vail schools are currently on a pause, similar to DUSD when it comes to winter sports, because I guess Vail ended up doing the same thing as we did. Several southern schools are still practicing in winter sports, most in phases 2 or 3, with most wrestling teams only in phase 1, which is the no contact practice. Coaches counting metrics at this time allows us to practice and participate in contests in soccer and basketball, and only practice in wrestling, no contest. Winter sports schedules in Arizona will most likely be condensed and adjusted to fit likely January to early mid-February finish date. And that was from Mr. Ortega.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Samaniego, based on what you've done, your directive is no practice, nothing until further notice, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that is correct. We put a stop just like Vail did for even practices.
Okay. Any members of the board, any other comments or questions regarding specifically her report? All right. If there aren't, I just want to comment that we want to make sure that that the district is not going to give any false information or any hope or anything that's going to put any students or staff at risk. And I want to make that perfectly clear that anything we do is going to be within those parameters. And the other thing is that Ms. Samaniego, I know you're monitoring all those things very, very closely. And with that, unless there's any other comments or questions, we should move on. Members of the board, anything else you want to? The important thing is that the parents and community, to the best of our ability, be given some type of Is somebody trying to speak there?
I don't think so, Mr. Burry, but I lost you for a moment.
Okay, the thing is, we just want to make sure that the community, and especially the parents and our staff, know that we're doing the best we can to keep them informed and try to have some stability, but it's almost impossible under the circumstances. All right, so do we have any other comments?
It is.
Mr. President?
And I will add...
Mr. Ramos. Go ahead, Mr. Ramos.
No, it's Gomez.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dr. Gomez. Go ahead.
I think just for transparency, I think we should have the numbers of teachers that have tested positive and numbers of support staff that have tested positive. I think that's very important so that the people know that, why we're doing this, and if we ever open that, what the numbers are, just to make sure that we know what the numbers are.
Well, that's a good point. That's a good point, so that the public understand the severity of what we're dealing with. Go ahead, Ms. Camillo.
Yes, and actually, in order to be transparent, our DEA president and my leadership team meet with, not the entire leadership team, meet with DEA, and Mrs. Brita Kimball had shared a document with me that she had found from one of the other school districts. And so we followed that in order to be transparent. And I had Alma create a COVID-19 dashboard, which is on our website. And what it does, it updates the number of cases we have every Monday. It gets updated, and we've only had it on for about 2 weeks. And on this update, this report, it is by school, and then we have an athletics portion of it separately. It just summarizes the number of cases per site. It doesn't break it down by, for example, teachers to support staff, but we can certainly do that and give a little bit more information. But that is already on our website, and people can check it every Monday morning by the afternoon. It should already be updated. So we are in the right direction. We can even break down the data a little bit further.
Thank you.
Okay, very good. Members of the board, anything else? I think we should actually close that conversation now.
Yes, okay.
Okay, all right. Let's move to item 1E, public comments. Do we have any, Alma?
No, sir, we didn't have any.
No comments. Let's move down to action items 2A. Discussion action
Mr.
on the approval of... Yes.
Mr. Burain,
yes.
I do have our ex officio member, Garrett Duarte's report that he shared, if I may, before we move on.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. We'll just include that in part of your report.
Yes, okay. It says, this week is homecoming week at Douglas High School. Although sports were canceled due to rising cases of COVID in our community. Student Council is still continuing with other virtual homecoming events, including a virtual spirit week with dress-up days, as well as virtual homecoming pep rally this Friday containing video contributions from various clubs, staff members, and our homecoming royalty. In addition to becoming homecoming festivities, National Honor Society will have a virtual induction ceremony tonight, November 19th, to honor all the incoming inductees. These students were chosen through an application process based on the 4 pillars of NHS: character, leadership, scholarship, and service. Students continuing distance learning in the 3rd trimester as the halfway point approaches, and that was it from Douglas High School.
Is Garrick on the line?
No, sir, he isn't.
No, he's not. He submitted the report so that I could share it.
Okay, that's great. And I want to reassure him that hopefully, under the unusual circumstances, that we certainly want him to have a meaningful experience as being the ex officio member. But hopefully, we can get into some experiences for him later down the road. Action items 2A, discussion action on the approval of temporary hires. Ms. Samaniego.
Yes, as presented, and board members, if you recall, at our last board meeting, and we've mentioned it several times, that due to the increase of students attending the learning spaces, we have been forced to hire temporary IAs to be paid through the CARES Act money to support the learning spaces at the various school sites. These are not full-time and permanent positions. Once things get better and or the funding goes away or we are no longer needing these positions, they will go away. And all these employees are being advised of that. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 instructional aides being hired for temporary employment, being recommended.
Anna, let me ask you, why would we be hiring them now when there's nothing, virtually nothing for them to do? Is there a reason why you want them hired now? Because if you shut down the learning spaces, what will they be doing from, in other words, their payroll would be initiated today or as of the day of approval? Go ahead.
Yeah, well, as of what we're going to do, Mr. Bahrain, because our plan is to reopen on December the 1st, right? So the students in the learning spaces would return on December 1st. So obviously we're getting them approved now, but they wouldn't start, their first day of work would not be until December the 1st, actually.
Okay, and we will be getting
an update before December 1st.
Yeah, very good. All right. Okay, so then I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Mr. President, this is Lindemann.
Thank you, Mr. Lind.
I move to approve the temporary hires.
Second?
Sabal, I second the motion.
Second by Mr. Sabal. Any questions? Roll call.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Mr. Sabal?
Yes.
Dr. Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Bahrain?
Yes. Item B, discussion action on the approval of classified resignation. Ms. Samaniego.
As presented, we have 3 support staff that are resigning.
Any significant explanation there that we need to know? Are these just kind of perfunctory routine, or are they in any way related just out of just so that the board knows anything to do with the COVID?
One is related to COVID and the overwhelming concern of her role at a school site, and that's a health aide. And she is a new mom, and coming back after maternity leave and seeing the situation and where we're at was an overwhelming concern for her and her family. So that was an immediate resignation. Then I think one of the other ones got another job. And I am not sure about the first one, Mrs. Cox.
Okay, then go ahead. Is that Mr. Ramos?
No, that was Denise.
Oh, Denise, go ahead, Denise, if you need to make a comment.
So the first one is just due to some personal reasons, and it may also have been because she may have gotten a different position, a different job.
Okay, then another technical question. I thought that when we had resignations and they weren't related at all to retirement or anything associated with that, that we would indicate whether they were rehireable or not. And is that going? So I think it's important that we do that.
Okay.
In the event that if anything were to happen in the future, and any one of them may have come back, and the resignation was not associated with anything such as the one you mentioned regarding Go ahead, Anna.
Yes, I think these employees are rehireable.
Well, then let's make sure that's in the motion.
Okay.
When we get to that. Okay. All right. Are we ready for a motion?
Yes, sir.
Mr. President.
Mr. Lindeman.
Yes, I move to approve the classified resignations with rehireable options.
I second the motion. Sabal.
By Mr. Sabal. Any discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Lindeman?
Yes.
Mr. Sabal?
Yes.
Dr. Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Bahrain?
Yes. Item C, discussion action on the approval of fiscal year 2020 school level reporting annual financial report. Mr. Soto.
Good morning, Mr. President. Good morning, board members. This report, it's a new requirement from the Department of Education and the state, and basically is the AFR, but in more detail. This is reporting that wants to be specific, and they want to see how much we're spending on specific school sites. It applies mostly to the different departments like maintenance when they were buying supplies. And they just want to make sure that everything is allocated to the actual site. I'm hoping that this report is going to be along with the regular AFR the next year. This year was delayed. The state wasn't ready, of course, with all of the forms and everything that we needed to fill out. So that's why we had to have this special meeting so we can submit this report. It's basically the AFR, but it's just in more detail for every school site. They just want to see how much we're spending on every specific school site. You have the report. I know it's extensive and it's very detailed, but again, it's the same numbers that we use for the annual financial report, but it's just by school sites. So I don't know if you have any specific questions about it.
Members of the board, do you have any questions?
No. No questions.
Mr. President, I have one question.
Go ahead, Dr. Gomez.
Okay. Mr. Soto, I don't know why I thought that this was going to be okaying the revised budget, but this is not. Or is this called the revised budget?
No, this is the annual financial report for last school year for 1920. The revision to the budget is going to be on the next board meeting. Okay. That's where we're going to bring the revision for this current year budget.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions, members of the board?
No questions.
Entertain a motion to approve.
This is Lindeman. I move to approve the fiscal year 2020 school level reporting annual financial report.
Motion by Lindeman. Is there a second?
Second. Al.
Sabal, second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Lindeman?
Yes.
Mr. Sabal?
Yes.
Dr. Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Bahrain?
Yes. We're down to adjournment. Members of the board, thank you for your cooperation and your availability. Anna, thank you for the report. Staff members, take care of yourselves, and we'll be in touch to have an update as soon as the administration feels you need one. Are you okay? Okay. All right. So I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Bahrain. Mr. Bahrain.
I second the motion. Sabal.
Okay.
Dr. Ed has a question.
I want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving and And let's pray that for all the blessings we have and for the end of this COVID.
Yes,
Thank you
I
so
agree.
much.
Happy.
Thank you for that, Doctor. Thank you very much. All right, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Adjourned. Thank you,
Thank you,
members of the
Mark.
board.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marco. Thank you.
Welcome.